It was kind of a revolution in many ways. The hierarchy or the leadership of the Catholic Church did see this as a positive change, as something very necessary. The church was very much, many ways, the forefront. Certainly, Archbishop Rummel in New Orleans, for example. He was a native of New York, and he was down there as Archbishop. He kind of led the charge to integrate the schools, the Catholic schools. With no little opposition, he received a lot of opposition, sometimes threats against his own life. In Washington, O'Boyle integrated the schools in the Archdiocese of Washington, Southern Maryland, as well as in the district. Also was the Archbishop of Chicago, where Chicago had a kind of a different front. Chicago was kind of innovative in establishing interracial dialogue. And Cardinal Sheehan in Baltimore, there's a story that he used to tell in the city of Baltimore, experienced open housing, that is, to kind of integrate the neighborhoods. And he testified before the city council on behalf of rights and fairness. And he and other ecumenical leaders were testifying and were witnessing to that effect. And he always would boast of the fact that among his interfaith colleagues, that he received more boos than anybody else.
If young whites and young blacks who were in elementary schools had gone to school together earlier, much earlier, and had been taught by teachers who were more black and white, this would be a better place. I'm convinced of it. Young people are not born with prejudices and the like. They're taught that there are differences when there shouldn't be. And you could not have told a young white elementary school student who was being taught by a black teacher that there was something wrong with that teacher. Oh, that's my teacher. And that's what we miss. And that's the generations that we lost. And I just hope we don't lose another.
But I can remember growing up in the segregated South, where everything was defined by race, very rigidly defined. And it was also kind of dangerous growing up because there was always a sense that the police, by and large, or the sheriff, law enforcement, was there to maintain segregation, the status quo. And if you cross the status quo, you would be in deep trouble there. So when I hear about terrorists abroad, I can relate to that because I can certainly remember my older siblings, they were about 10 years older than I am, being very much aware that there was a certain line you should not cross. We have a lot of challenges, a whole lot of challenges now, because racism is still a part of the fabric of our environment, of the air we breathe. It's still part of the DNA. Now, white Americans, by and large, deny that racism exists. So they would say, well, you have a black president. What's your problem? You have black governors. Maryland may have one coming up, and you have blacks in places of power. And so what's the problem? So they deny that it exists. Black Americans, by and large, see it everywhere. So two polar opposites that really has to be addressed if you're going to address this issue.